Husband walked in while I was cheating on him. I am sorry if this is rushed. This whole thing transpired yesterday and I am still shaken up about it all. So, my AP and I have been seeing each other for only a few weeks and he is the only other guy I've slept with. I feel like I should say that I love my husband more than anything and he is perfect in every way, but I guess the thrill of sleeping with someone else is too much for me to resist. I know I am a terrible person. He is also much more well endowed than my husband and it just feels like losing my virginity all over again except even better. Anyways, my husband was supposed to be on a business trip but for reasons he has not said yet, he won't respond to my texts understandably, he turned back the same day. He left in the morning and my AP came at noon and we planned on him staying till night. Well, that wasn't a bright idea. We had amazing sex at least 3 times and were going for round 4 when my husband busts through the door. AP and I freeze. My husband is just frozen stiff and doesn't move. Then all of a sudden he goes red and starts screaming and calling us names. Then he grabs AP and hits him against the wall. Now, before I continue I just want to say my husband is very kind and soft and he has never even raised his voice at me. He isn't that big and he never was serious about the gym whereas my AP has the body of an athlete. So, they get into a gory fight which ends in my husband losing very badly and me screaming and crying on the bed. After the fight, the room was in shambles and the wall was covered in blood from mostly my husband's. My AP just said to me to tell him to not go near him ever again and left. I immediately contacted 911 while my husband just got up from the floor slowly still trying to regain consciousness. Once he did, he just tried to get up and leave the house, but I was not letting him by blocking his path and bursting out crying and begging him to forgive me. He didn't take that so well and eventually just pushed me very hard out of his way. I have been calling him and pleading but he won't answer. I don't even know where he is. It has been a day and no one knows where he is. Not even his brother or parents. Obviously I just told them we had a fight and he left the house. He still isn't back and I am just lost. I am completely awestruck at how bad things have gone. I never thought about the consequences let alone this level. We have 3 very young kids and I don't know what to do if he leaves me. I really need any sort of advice on what to do. I was positive he would never do anything brash in the past but after yesterday, I am terrified that he would do something. I have called the police and they are working on finding him. I have contacted almost everyone and no one can help me. I regret this more than I can express. The affair was the biggest mistake I could have ever done. Yet I did it. My AP said that he doesn't give a damn if my husband kills himself because my husband tried to assault him. Honestly, I first sided with that but I really can't blame my husband because I don't know what I would do in that situation. AP said as long as I am worried about him then I should not contact him. I cut him off after that and realized how stupid I am. I am so scared of what I did and would do anything to solve it once he comes back home. Thinking of a divorce shakes me to my core. I can't sleep or eat. It sickens me how I have hurt my husband. I just want him to forgive me. TLDR. Husband walked in on us, attacked AP, now is nowhere to be found. I realized that I'd actually walked in on my girlfriend cheating or had been in the next room over on dozens of occasions. Prologue. I was dating a girl in college for about a year and I had grown very close to her. We were both sophomores when we met. Juniors when this took place. She'd met a number of kids in one of her fall semester classes who she'd started to become good friends with. Among these friends was a tall, handsome, and very preppy, frat bro blonde fellow who I shall call Craig. Craig wasn't the sort of person who I would ever choose to hang out with, but she really liked him, and I found him chill, friendly, and generally inoffensive, so we'd hang out a lot together, the 3 of us. She'd also hang out with Craig one-on-one frequently, but I'm not one of those insecure jackasses who assumes that any attention my girlfriend pays to other men is romantic in nature, so I thought nothing of it. The following incident is one of those moments of fridge horror that didn't mean anything to me at the time, though I would later come to realize it had great significance. Anyway, this girl would always leave her dorm suite door unlocked, and, as we'd been dating for a year, I was welcome to come over any time. So one early November afternoon, I invited myself over, walked into her suite, and knocked on her door. She said, "Come in," exuberantly, but when I came in, She was lying in her bed with her covers up to her chin, looking very surprised to see me. Her face was flushed and her hair was really messy. She said, "My name, I'm not feeling very well. Can you come back some other time?" And I was all, sure. Do you want me to bring you anything?" And she said, "No. I think you should just leave right now. I'm really not feeling well." So I left. I noted her disheveled appearance and the terseness of our conversation, but I figured it was all because she was feeling really sick, so I ignored it. She called me later that evening telling me that she was feeling much better, and wanted to know if I wanted to go out with her and Craig to a movie. Not long after this incident, our relationship started breaking down. She'd stop inviting me over, stopped seeming happy to see me, and would complain and cry a lot whenever I was around. When I'd ask her what was wrong, at first, she'd tell me that she was very busy with her schoolwork and that she was stressed and needed a lot of time to herself. As things continued to break down, though, she'd start picking fights with me over really innocuous stuff, and started accusing me of manipulating her, trying to control her life, and denying her any independence. I suggested that we break up, but she rather paradoxically begged to stay together. She said all she needed was a break. The break lasted a month. I missed her terribly during that time, but tried to keep myself apart, though I'd still occasionally text her and check on how she was doing. The break ended when I found out she had broken up with me. She didn't tell me we were breaking up. Rather, she changed her relationship status on Facebook to single, and I wandered across it on my newsfeed a day or two later. She was dating Craig within a week. I didn't learn about the significance of the incident in her room until almost 2 years later. I was at a party, and a close friend of mine, friend A, pulled me aside, and said, "There's something I've known for a while, and I need to let you know. Do you remember that afternoon you walked into your girlfriend's room, and she told you she was sick and wanted you to leave?" And I replied, "Yeah." "Wait. What? How do you know about that?" And he answered, "Craig was in the bathroom when you came in. He just finished screwing her, and came out and screwed her again after you left. Good luck for him, bad luck for you. Also, she'd been cheating on you with him starting at least a month before this. She slept with him in your bed at your Halloween party while you were downstairs." I don't think I've ever taken moments like the one in her room for granted like that again. If I'd been a minute earlier or later, I would have caught them at it. If I just walked 10 feet further, I would have realized Craig was in the bathroom. But I wasn't, and I didn't, and so a moment that could have been monumentally important seemed utterly insignificant, instead. You never know when something unimportant will actually turn out to be a crucial piece of information later. Epilogue. Friend A hadn't found anything out directly. My ex had described the incident to a different close friend of mine, friend B. Friend B at one point was one of my best friends, but friend B had the hots really bad for my salacious girlfriend. He decided that if he told me that my girlfriend had been cheating on me, it would reduce his chances of getting with her in the future, so he not only didn't tell me, but he actually helped her cover up several other incidents from me in order to get in her good graces. She was also feeding him a lot of the BS about what a manipulative, controlling douchebag I was, so that probably helped him justify screwing me over to himself. The irony that she was manipulating friend B and me while calling me manipulative is not lost on me. So friend B didn't tell me, but he did tell friend A, who, thankfully, had the decency to tell me about it. Though it took him a year to finally cough it up. TLDR. Girlfriend was cheating on me for months, and knew my best friend liked her and so used him to help her cover it up. When the whole story emerged after years of being kept secret, I realized that I'd actually walked in on my girlfriend cheating or had been in the next room over on dozens of occasions. Husband has been out of jail for 5 months after assaulting AP. I was online looking for help and stumbled across this subreddit, so I decided to join and tell my story. So, my husband and I have been together for 10 years. My affair only lasted for a couple months, and I have to say it was amazing while it lasted. The sex was great and my AP was just a fun person to be around. As fun as it was, I still loved and still do love my husband and would have never left him for AP. He's a great husband and father. He was so busy with work, programmer, and wasn't paying me any attention, so I went out looking for someone to comfort me. Well, it all came tumbling down after my husband followed me to the motel my AP and I meet up at. My husband, as far as I can remember, has never been an angry or violent person, but he was an entirely different person in that motel room. He used to always say profanity was for unintelligent. Well, he cursed and screamed at me, then proceeded to get into a fistfight with my AP. Which the AP lost horribly, by the way. When he was finished, the AP was on the ground bloody and bruised. He turned to me and for a second I thought he was going to hit me, but instead, he walked past me to his car, got in, and drove off. I called an ambulance for AP and told them what happened. They then told the cops. My husband drove himself to the police station afterwards, so he was already in custody. Anyway, my ex-AP presses charges against my husband, even though I begged him not to. My husband pleads guilty and gets 6 months in jail for assault and has to attend anger management. He wouldn't talk to me at all. Only our son. It's been 5 months since he got back and our relationship isn't improving in the slightest. He sleeps on the bottom bunk of our son's bunk bed instead of in the bedroom, which is understandable, but after being locked up for 6 months I'd think he would want to be in the same room as a woman. I bought some new lingerie to see if I could get a reaction. He told me to put on some clothes because our son was still up and could walk in and see me at any moment. We got into an argument and he told me if it wasn't for our son he would have already filed for a divorce. Any tips on how to fix my marriage, or is it dead and I'm being delusional? Your husband took it out on the wrong person. The guy didn't break his vows to your husband. You did. I was in a similar situation, except I walked in on them in my own home. When I walked into the bedroom they were right in the middle of the act. I calmly walked to the nightstand while they both pulled the covers up around themselves. I pulled out the gun from the nightstand and put it in my pocket. I didn't want it in her hands or his. Then I calmly looked at the guy and said, "Pick up your clothes and get out." He did. I then turned to my wife and said, "I'm going to go get a cup of coffee. When I come back you and anything you want to take with you will be gone." She said something, but to this day I have no idea what it was, as I was already out of the room. I never spoke with her again. Unlike your husband, I didn't have a child with her. Now your husband has to look at you and his son and remember what you did for the rest of his life. You are beyond despicable. He also has to leave with the fact you testified to the police. That alone will earn you his hatred for the rest of your life. You should have kept your mouth shut, I'm guessing in more than one way. If you want to make it right, then quietly leave the house and never have contact with him or your son again. Ever. While there will be a pain for your son not having his mother around, I'm sure your husband will find someone more worthy in a short time. Obviously, he couldn't find someone worse. My husband walked in on me cheating with his friend. He is mad at me now. Me and my husband have been married for 7 years and we have 2 boys. One is 2 and one is 3. My husband has a friend who used to live in another town and he moved back to the city. Since I met him I started to have a deep crush on him. We quickly became friends and we gave each other our phone number. I'm a stay-at-home mom and my husband works long hours. His friend works the night shift, so during the day he started visiting me and we got really close. We would laugh, have long conversations about anything. Even me and my husband's sex life and how he does in bed. We even started making sexual jokes. Eventually, we fall in love and we made out. One day he came to visit me while my kids were at mom's house. We made out and we had sex on the couch for the first time. It's been a long time since I had sex and it felt great and it was fun. But little did I know my husband was on his way home earlier than usual. He walked in on us screwing and we were all in shock. My husband tried to fight him but I separated them. At this time I realized the mistake I made. I love him and want him to forgive me. He is mad and won't talk to me. How do I get him to forgive?